Welcome to U.S. Law Shield's live report on Facebook Live in Houston, Texas, the home of the World Series champion Houston Astros. I am Sam Malone at the news desk. Lots to cover today. And remember, as always, when we do our Facebook Live broadcasts, leave your comments, leave your questions right there on Facebook, and the producers will send it right to me. And we can ask the questions to our independent program attorneys. We always have the best. That's what U.S. Law Shield provides with you, the best. In fact, today we go to Denver, Colorado for independent program attorney Doug Richards joining us via Skype. What is up, Mr. Showbiz, Mr. Sharp-Dressed Lawyer?
Yeah. Hey, Sam, great to be with you, and congratulations on your world champion Houston Astros.
It's, you know what, for what the town went through with Hurricane Harvey, they really, the town really needed it. It really lifted a lot of spirits.
Yeah,
up, you know?
You guys needed it. You definitely deserved it.
Thank you. And I remember being out there pitching. Yeah, never mind. So here we go. Interesting news stories. You're in Denver, Colorado. There was a tragic shooting that took place there at a Walmart just a couple of days ago, right? A 47-year-old man was taken into custody, but he walked in. He killed 2 men and 1 woman in the shooting at the Walmart. I want to start off with this. You being the independent program attorney with U.S. Law Shield, what if I was there? This guy walks in and just starts randomly shooting people. I'm there. I have my license to carry in your state. I'm a Colorado resident. I fire off a couple rounds, and I don't hit him. In fact, trying to hit him, I accidentally hit somebody else, gosh forbid.
Right. Your what-if scenario is a real possibility because the news reports are that there was a lot of added confusion to the event because so many people were armed inside of it. I mean, you had the good guys, potential U.S. Law Shield members, armed and drawing their concealed weapon, taking cover. And whenever I talk to U.S. Law Shield groups and members, I'm always I always caution people before you engage a active shooter. First of all, like you suggested, Sam, you might hit somebody that you didn't intend to hit. You might hit a child. You might hit some other well-intended good Samaritan. You might even hit an off-duty police officer. And so you really are opening yourself up to a lot of potential criminal exposure, not to mention the potential civil exposure because your homeowner's insurance would not be providing you an attorney if you were involved in that type of situation.
But if you're a member of U.S. Law Shield and something like that, and there's a situation where there's a shooting, you're involved and it goes south, you call you guys right away.
Call us right away. But obviously, then you've also got to be put in through the system. So not everybody wants that, right? So, I talk to members and everybody's real tough at the seminars, and everyone can't wait until somebody picks on me, and I'm gonna, kind of the Clint Eastwood, go ahead and make my day. But when you get put into play and you're in the system and you've got to defend your actions, folks really think twice, or they kind of, a lot of times when I represent members, they somewhat regret having taken that extra step. So I really encourage people to just sit back and defend yourself, defend people around you if the threat's coming your way, but don't go looking for it. If you were in that Walmart, Sam, I would have encouraged you, if I was kind of whispering in your ear that day and you had drawn your firearm, I'd say, Sam, tuck in behind one of these aisles. If the guy comes to you, then you take action. But otherwise, your job is to get home safe to your family and not create a more difficult situation.
Independent program attorney Doug Richards joining us, U.S. Law Shield. We're live on Facebook Live. Leave your comments. So big difference between if the gunman were to come, let's say, at you personally, or if the gunman's in the store and you decide to chase him down and shoot and accidentally miss, correct?
Yeah, I mean, really, from both a criminal standpoint and a civil standpoint, I mean, if you're negligent in what you're doing, and if you're negligent in just you're in the scenario where I've got you, crouched down, taking cover, you're protecting your family, and this bad guy comes up and he, takes aim and you take a shot at him and you miss and you hit somebody, that's a lot different than you turning into Rambo and running around the store trying to find this guy, and you want to be the hero. That's the last thing you want to do, because if you're out there trying to be the hero, your actions are going to be scrutinized a lot different. Your ability to use self-defense in a criminal context is going to be a lot different. A civil attorney who's trying to turn you upside down and shake you down for money because you injured their client while you were while you were trying to save the day, it's a lot different analysis. So I would strongly caution everyone, whether you're a member or not. If you're not a member, you should be, and if you are a member, you really should just take cover and not engage somebody or look to engage somebody. We have these conversations a lot in seminars here in Colorado, because everybody can put themselves in the movie theater that James Holmes went in and shot up.
Right.
And everyone can think, everybody in Colorado thinks about it, because I don't know how the theaters are in Houston, but here in Colorado, you'll see numerous times during the film, when you're seeing a movie, they'll have one of the employees walk around and check the doors, and it reminds you. And so these topics come up a lot in our seminars, and I always tell folks, not only, if you're walking around with a gun and there's an off-duty or even an on-duty police officer there, they don't know if you're the good guy or the bad guy. You're not wearing a uniform that says you're the bad guy. They just think that you might be part of the active shooter team. So here you are, not just, possibly endangering other people, but you're endangering yourself if you start walking around trying to take action.
That's an excellent point. Independent program attorney Doug Richards, U.S. Law Shield, is that, you draw and you get involved in a shootout. The police show up. They hear there's a shootout. They hear shots, and they see Doug. Granted, $1,000 blazer, but he might have a semi-automatic pistol in his hand. He's firing off a couple rounds. The cops, how would they know who started this? So that's an excellent piece of advice. You also mentioned being a member of U.S. Law Shield. Throw the graphic up on the screen, because we do have many people who are watching across America who are not yet members. You should be. You'll have access to independent program attorneys. There's always attorneys on call. So you'll sign up for an annual membership. You only have to pay really for 10, because you get 2 months free. Go online. I always say don't do it now while we're talking. That would be rude. But wait till we're done. And then go visit uslawshield.com, uslawshield.com, and use the online code SAM, S-A-M, my first name. Let me get to this story. Social media. Everything happens on social media. In fact, you and I right now are broadcasting across America on social media. In Washington, D.C., a man decided to go on social media, on Facebook, just like us, but instead of talking about guns, he was selling guns. Fox 5 in D.C. says a D.C. man is facing felony gun charges after the FBI says it discovered he was running a virtual gun store on social media. He was selling everything to get his hands on, I guess. Assault rifles, semi-automatic handguns, extended clips, doing on his Facebook page. Now, the one thing was he was a convicted felon. So I'll ask the softball question, Mr. Richards. Can convicted felons sell guns?
Generally, as a matter of policy, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking.
Yeah.
Now, we hear, obviously you can't do that, but we hear about, people selling stuff on the internet. Can you have a virtual gun store? I'm just thinking out loud, on Facebook?
Well, if you're an FFL and you're selling a firearm and you're doing it through all the legal channels, I haven't done the research, so I don't know specifically a restriction if you are otherwise legal. To sell a firearm online. So I couldn't answer that for sure, but if there are other websites where you can purchase a firearm, to me, as long as you're not necessarily violating any of the Facebook's terms and conditions, which I think you probably would be. I don't see that there's something just inherently per se illegal about it. But the problem, beyond the fact that this guy was a convicted felon, I do not imagine, I'm going to assume, that there were not background checks being conducted in these transactions. One of the things that I saw here is that the FBI was investigating this guy for the better part of a year. So I don't know why an investigation would take that long to wrap up in a case like this, where it would appear you have a lot of historical evidence accessible and available through Facebook. And so that sort of that gentleman's conduct in D.C. really reflects poorly on all good, positive gun owners, because it gives a narrative to those who would like to strip us of the Second Amendment. That here's a guy that's out there selling firearms. He's kind of the way that they presented it in the article, he seems like he's or they want you at least to assume he's a little bit of a gangster. Right. So it provides the ability to have a narrative where otherwise the FBI should have taken care of this right away.
Let me get to we got independent program attorney Doug Richards. We're on Facebook Live with U.S. Law Shield. Here come some of the comments. Remember, you can type in your comments. Austin says, not too difficult defending your actions when a nut job is shooting. You're talking about make sure there's no negligence involved in the store shooting. Let's see. Alan says, I disagree. As a concealed weapon permit holder, I think we have a duty to protect the public as well as ourselves.
Yeah, that's wrong. I'm sorry to disagree with Alan, and I do that with all due respect, because I don't. I'm not looking to have an argument with anybody about this, but there's police officers that are sworn to have that job. It's not your duty to protect the public. It's your duty. The reason that you're allowed to have a concealed firearm or to carry open in certain states is so you can protect yourself. And you can protect somebody else if you're able to articulate the some states allow you to use self-defense in defense of another person if you could be using self-defense to defend yourself in that exact situation. But you're not allowed by virtue of your CCW or CHL or whatever it's titled in your state to just march around and start your own little militia. So I would respectfully disagree with that.
Got it. Yeah, so you don't, quote, have a duty once you get your...
You don't have a duty. No, you don't have a duty. And so, and where we might be getting our wires crossed is my recommendation to folks to not engage. And so, perhaps this gentleman thinks that, well, if there's an active shooter, I'm going to engage because I want to protect the public. And again, that would be your prerogative to do. I think it's a bad decision for all the reasons that we laid out in the beginning of the interview. And once again, it's your call. But I've had a lot of well-intended members sitting in my office, explaining to me why they did what they did, and I'm, now trying to have to undo it with either the police department if they haven't been charged, or the DA's office, or whatever other charging body. So I think that all I can do is tell you worst case scenario. I'm not a fun person to hang out with because all I think about is worst case scenario, because I see everybody's worst case scenario every day. So, if things could work out well for you, it could be this situation in New York where there was a terrorist that was driving down the bike path on the West Side Highway, and and this hero police officer came forward and took and shot and took out the terrorist. The guy's still alive, but he stopped the threat. And some people want to be that hero. My main goal is not. I'm not saying that you should be a coward. I'm saying that you should be smart about what you're doing. The fact that you're holding a firearm and that you have this license, it's a privilege, right? It's a privilege that we're given to be able to carry concealed.
Right.
And so you don't want to when you're given a privilege like that, you'll be held to a higher standard of care. And believe me, prosecutors do hold you to a higher standard of care when you carry concealed. So you have to be very careful and think through your actions. And so by having these conversations and these dialogues, and thanks to Sam Malone for having this forum for all of us to discuss these things, because the last place you want to be sort of having this debate and juggling the pros and cons is when you're actually facing the situation. So if we've talked about it, if you've listened to my reasoning and your reasoning and everybody's talked about it, you know exactly what you're going to do, or you have a good idea what you're going to do if you're, God forbid, put in that situation where you're forced to stop the threat.
It's like I always say, it's nice to know you. I never want to meet you professionally. I never want to sit in your office. Stephanie, we're on Facebook Live. Stephanie says, wouldn't go without U.S. Law Shield. They cover more than just having a gun. Weapons are weapons. What other? I mean, we always think of obviously a weapon being a gun. What other situations have you come across where people need your services for, quote, a weapon?
Bats, crowbars.
Really?
Anything that might be deemed a weapon. And if you're charged with it, as being a deadly weapon, or just being charged with disorderly conduct because you've made somebody in fear for their life because you're, or scared that you were going to do something to them with whatever it might be. It might be a pen. I mean, it would just depend on the circumstances of that interaction, the type of person you were dealing with, your size and stature. There's a lot of factors that go into it. But you always hear those things that my fists are registered deadly weapons, and if that's the case, then that's what we're going to go to court over. But Law Shield says that we're going to defend you with not just firearms but all other weapons, and I've got your back if that's what the charge is.
Stephanie, I appreciate that comment about U.S. Law Shield covering more than just gun, weapons, or weapons. So if, we always throw it out there, if, gosh forbid, there's an incident where you need a baseball bat to protect yourself or protect someone else, you can count on U.S. Law Shield to have your back.
Yeah, I mean, imagine you're in a situation where you're in your garage and some garages back up into alleys, and you're cleaning out your garage, and some guy comes into your garage and starts harassing you, and you pick up a rake, and somehow, some way, he convinces a police officer that you're in the wrong, and you get charged. Well, you could be charged with using that rake as a deadly weapon, and guess what? I'm going to go to court with you, or we're going to fix it.
Outstanding. And I guess you wouldn't want to change your name to U.S. Rake Shield. There's really no marketing in that.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe at Home Depot and Garden Depot.
I'm Doug with U.S. Rake Shield. How can I help you? Oh, man, that is something. We've covered a lot on this Friday. The comments keep pouring in. The bottom line is join. Become a member of U.S. Law Shield so that – now, Doug, are you doing are you on call? Are you doing desk duty for when the people call in with questions and things today?
So U.S. Law Shield has an office in Texas. So there's in Houston, right where you are, and so there are lawyers on call there 24/7. And then so if there's an incident, you can talk to a lawyer right away.
Good.
If you have questions, legal questions like, hey, I live in Colorado and I've got a question about such and such, or I live in Houston and I'm going to Colorado and I've got questions, they'll put you in touch directly with me, and we can have conversations until both of us are blue in the face about whatever you want to talk about having to do with firearms and the law. And
that is the beauty of becoming a member of U.S. Law Shield. Put the special up on the screen again. We'll be done in a minute, so you can go on the website, uslawshield.com, uslawshield.com. When you go on the website, there it is. You get 2 free months when you sign up for an annual membership. Use the online code SAM, S-A-M. Go to uslawshield.com, uslawshield.com. Got to thank our good friend, independent program attorney, Doug Richards. And first of all, he's a really nice guy, well-dressed. And as you can see when you're watching, over his right shoulder, a picture of the mugshot of my all-time favorite singer, Francis Albert Sinatra from Hoboken, New Jersey.
That's it.
The mugshot. It's always good when a lawyer has a mugshot picture in his office. All right, buddy. Listen.
Represent him. Yeah, I did not represent him.
No, you probably wouldn't be the age you are if you did.
No, exactly.
Listen, have a blessed weekend, and thank you so much for joining us. Okay.
Thank you, Sam. Always great to see you and be with your audience.
Roger that. And everybody else, if you tuned in midway, don't worry, it'll loop around and start all over again. Thank you for watching from the news desk in Houston, Texas. I'm Sam Malone.